Oh,
You're
and we're
good.
into draft.
Oh God. Oh no. Is this even set up yet? All right, we're gonna change the logos really quick. What's your logo? This one. Oh no.
Everything is under control, all planned.
That's right.
Now, I'm not super familiar with blue team in this game, uh, or any of their players or their champions. I know a bit about red team. First Ben Malzahar is pretty safe, especially if they're. I'm assuming their mid's just a Malzahar player, or if they have a history of it. But we've seen more in the tournament that Malzahar is the great equalizer, kind of a champion in mid, where even if you have like an elo deficit or there's some really obnoxious champion mid, you kind of smack a Malzahar or a Lissandra in there, and you can kind of even it out just by virtue of being perma pushed or being unkillable.
Yeah, I
But
definitely think that's going to be relevant coming into this game specifically, because I know Lavas de G Town or AGT. They have a couple of good players. I'm trying to pull up the op.gg for their mid laner right now, because I believe he plays a lot of like assassins.
mm,
Like I know he's played Fizz, Yone, like things like that. And so I could easily see the Malzahar just being like a really quick, easy like shutdown for all those melee killers.
yeah,
And yeah, from looking at his profile, that's exactly what I'm seeing. Yeah. So I'm
it's safe
guessing
then.
that's probably why.
Ooh.
I'm not even sure if Chronic really plays Malzahar. I know he technically does. I know Chronic more as a Lissandra main, which as if I'm a melee
Yeah,
assassin, I'm shaking in my boots on that one.
yeah. But the
Um,
Jin first pick's really interesting because you really open yourself up to just being locked down by a bunch of tanks. Uh, I'm not sure if they're going to capitalize on it. I'm not sure how many. I'm not sure about the support and top champ pool tank wise in the red team, but first pick Jin is really risky because if they just stack on armor, you're kind of just screwed.
yeah.
Armor HP, you're not able to cut through it at all. So
Yeah, well, and you could easily pick a Braum into that. They chose not to. They went with the Rakan. But something they did go into was that first pick Lissandra from Tilted
yeah.
Tater Tots. And that's exactly what I was talking about. I know Chronic is a really good Lissandra. It's like one of his mains. If he used to be a one trick, I know he's branched out and picked up a few more champions for this tournament, kind of assuming it would get banned out. But they chose to ban out his Nocturne instead. Now, Giga is the team captain. He's been known to pivot some of his players around to different roles, depending on how the draft runs out. But he decided that I'm guessing he's going to probably put either himself jungle. He tends to be their own jungler, but every once in a while he'll pivot Chronic around. And Chronic has been tearing up solo queue with that Nocturne, so I could see them respectfully fearing it, especially with the Jin pick. Like if he sets up that ultimate and Nocturne hits R, Jin died, and it's
Mhm.
quite tragic.
The Poppy is smart here. I like that a lot. It just completely neuters the Rakan. Uh, I don't know how much I feel about the Viego yet, especially into when all you see is Lissandra. Lissandra into again, like you were saying earlier, those 80 melee champions, you just kind of lock them down, run away. You're just impossible to touch. The Yorick is
They might be thinking that that's a Poppy top.
it might be.
And it might be. That is not an unfair thing to talk about. I'm definitely,
Mhm.
maybe I'm getting baited. I'm definitely thinking that's a Poppy support.
Mhm, same, yeah.
But,
Yeah, especially right after the Rakan.
oh,
It's
well, and what could have been Poppy top is probably going to be a Poppy support now because ain't no way Poppy's going to want to lane into a Yorick.
yeah.
I would cry if I had to go against a Yorick as Poppy. And it looks like oh no, they're thinking it's top because they banned out Nautilus.
Huh.
So they're really banking on the idea that the enemy AGT support is not going to be Poppy. And AGT is going to bounce back with a Xayah ban, trying to take away that dynamic duo. Tilted Tater Tots maybe even making a purposeful decision to not take the Xayah on the front half of the draft, maybe baiting out a ban. Rakan is definitely a much more universal of the two when it comes to team comps than Xayah is. So they definitely got the better of the two if they were going to bait out a ban from the enemy team.
hmm I'm just looking to see some more damage coming through from red team here. I mean, they have like a lot of lockdown. They have Rakan, Lissandra is a great combo. York, I doubt is ever going to show up in a team fight. Period. But even if he does, they have a cage. They have a lot of this like potential for a big wombo like AOE type deal. But they don't have anything that can capitalize on it yet. So I'm waiting to see what they go for there.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see maybe a really strong gank jungler from Giga. I know he likes to play stuff like Briar, who would be really good, just like putting out a lot of damage. I don't know how effective Briar would be into something like Poppy, because I think his stun or her stun dash is technically
It
considered a
does.
dash, and so Poppy would
It
be
does
able to
get
stop it.
bad.
Yeah. Oh, Zeri, that's a really good pick. That's
Uh,
something we want to see.
I
Uh,
like it as a champion, but picking it into Poppy is also hard, because you're still short range. You're still like a medium range ADC. You have to play it really perfectly. Otherwise, you're gonna get, even just flashed on, hex flashed on. Just Poppy walks in front of you, presses W, and you're just screwed. So I'm interested to see how they make that work. We'll see.
yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I think it's tricky, and it puts a little more pressure on the ADC to perform.
Yeah, and if Guillotine is the bot laner, she's going to have to do a really good job at positioning herself in these fights to kind of wait for the Poppy to burn her abilities before she can go in, which I think will be able to be done if they can have the Rakan kind of dash in first and bait it out. And Poppy kind of has to answer the Rakan, or she just gets charmed herself. And if she gets charmed, then Guillotine gets to just pop off scot free. So
Yeah.
that's pretty nice. I also like the Azir pick here. If I've never seen the MIP play Azir before, so I have no idea how good he is at the champion. But if this Azir can be piloted really, really well, I think this is a really solid pick. Not only does it give you some catch potential on some of the backline, like the Zeri potentially with the scoop, but it also is a really solid pick into the Lissandra herself. He outranges her, so he's able to put out a lot of poke damage before Lissandra can really get in on him. If she does manage to get in on him, he can just dash away. Potentially even scoop her under if she gets too deep. So I think that's a really solid pick if it's piloted well. And it is going to be the Poppy support, just as we thought.
Now, the thing that catches my eye is top lane here, where Set versus York, this is one of those matchups where I believe it's Set favored unless the York, like up until a certain skill point, Set naturally gets countered and won't beaten by anything that can kite it out. York has the wall, he has the slow, he has all the goblins, the little gremlins. I still think this is going to be Set favored, but I don't think it's unwinnable for the York here. It's especially if he doesn't disrespects the Set early, walk up a step too far, lose half your health bar, the Set special. I'm expecting them to maybe invest heavily in the top lane early because it's a Zeri lane, bot lane, Zeri Rakan. It's not only pretty safe, but it's not very volatile. And compared to the top lane, Set York, you might have like a 2v2 there for the Set Viego, York, Belveth. There's a lot of variables there, and I feel like they might be looking to invest in that. But we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get the... I'm not going to be able to do it from Twitch chat, I don't think. I was trying to get the prediction going, but I might have to find the widget for it.
There's going to be a problem with that every week.
Yeah, well, I can't... So the way maybe I just need to full screen it. Hold on, maybe that's my problem. Yeah, because like whenever it displays the chat, I bet I can I do this? Will this break chat? No, this works. Okay, great. Perfect. All right, so this is AGT versus TTT. And let's get it going. Who will win?
I'm feeling just off of the drafts here, blue side. But I don't think it's so... I don't think any team directly won or lost draft. To me, it just looks like both teams drafted for the same thing. They look for kind of somewhat aggressive engage, but Blues just does it so much easier, so much better. Red team with Lissandra, you have the Rakan. You have at least some form of disengage. The other side of that is so many melees and so much AD into a champ like Lissandra, where you can just press W, you can ult someone, you can just claw away. There's definitely a lot of wiggle room, and I think this can go really either way depending on who can start snowballing early. It's I do think though, if nothing happens during the entire early game, it is a bit more favored towards the the Zeri, the Belveth, who have some crazy scalings. But
yeah, I think if piloted correctly, I would have to go with AGT because I think the Viego is gonna have a pretty good time of getting these resets. He's got a lot of Jhin poke damage. He's got Azir poke damage. He's got Set who can initiate these fights for him. And he's got Poppy who can technically stop dashes. I feel like the Poppy and the Viego kind of want to do different things with the, Poppy wants to disengage certain players, and then Viego wants to capitalize on resets. Oh, crud. And so we have a little bit of a desynergy there. Nothing too crazy. I don't think it's going to like cost them a team fight or anything. But if they do kind of get some miscommunication, I feel like there's always that one troll Poppy that tries to be the hero and ends up just ulting somebody away at 100 health, which is probably going to tilt poor little Viego from getting his resets out.
Yeah.
But it looks like we are going to be able to load in a game here. We'll get it going here really quick.
All right. Noticing the ghost out of Jhin bot, which is pretty interesting. Since Ghost has been nerfed a few patches ago, you haven't really seen it on ADCs. They've opted more for the barrier, like DG has, like Dr. Guillotine, cleanse, the heal, all that. I'm looking to see if he gets much value out of that, but not having a combat sum, especially early in that kind of lane, where you're looking to make the most pressure possible to stop that scaling, is it might be a bit of a problem. But
yeah, I think barrier is definitely the move here. If you're really concerned about having some movement speed so you can, disengage a fight, maybe even heal, you can kind of compromise in the middle. You get a combat summer in the bot lane for your skirmishes, but you also have a little bit of a movement speed boost. So you can kind of hit a fleet footwork with a crit and then pop heal, and you're moving really, really quick. But yeah, by the mid to late game where you would think that this ghost would be relevant, I don't think Jin's going to need it anymore. Like his crit, his crit damage is going to be pretty high by that point, and once he gets his 2, maybe even 3 items, and so his passive is naturally going to make him move really, really fast. I don't think he needs the ghost. But just going to see a little bit of vision coming out from Rakan, just spot out the Poppy. So not going to get any cheese coming out, and Poppy's just going to match it with her own ward. Just making sure that nobody's cheesing everything. And Yorick spending really, really far back. Something I noticed, Giga actually pivoted himself up into the top lane. I didn't notice that in the overlay, but he is up there. Yeah. So Kenda is actually going to be their jungler, which makes sense. Kenda is a jungle main, so definitely his comfort role. And Giga was a top laner in the previous tournament, I believe. So he's definitely familiar with that lane just as well. And Yorick's not exactly a difficult champion to pilot, so I think he'll be fine.
Now, like we were saying, it looks like we are getting both junglers pathing the top, strong setting top lane. Might see that early 2v2 like I was talking about before. Jhin does take the time to leash, which is, priority wins games, it wins lanes, turns weak early lanes into strong winning ones off of level 2. It's, we might be able to see some heavy trade come in from Zeri here if they get level 2 first, if they disrespect it. When you're a stronger level 1, I'm not a big fan of leashing and throwing away your prio when that's a big advantage you have. But it looks like they're doing a good job of respecting the distance.
Yeah, just trying to stand back. There's a level 2 power spike. They're going to get a little bit of poke on Poppy, but nothing too bad. She's just going to be able to walk away casually and let the minion waves crash underneath. A thing that I was interested in, because I see this from most Bel'Veth, so maybe you know something I don't. I've always known Bel'Veth to start solo camp on Raptors. It's the most efficient first clears she can do. A lot of times Bel'Veths like to invade Raptors. I understand in this situation it wasn't very smart because there was a lot of vision in the bot side. We knew Viego was down there. But why not start your own Raptors on the top side and path down?
It just largely depends on where you're trying to play for. I don't know if it was a conscious decision, but at least in this game I would be doing the same, starting bot side, pathing top. Because if you start your Raptors, you're inherently just pathing into bot, or you're setting yourself up for a top like 3 camp. You clear your whole, like you do Raptors red Krugs or Raptors Krugs red into top or mid. But if you're expecting a full clear, like most players in this tournament have been doing, like Viego's doing, if she starts Raptors in this situation, pass down, now it'll be a 2v1 top. You have your York 2v1ing a set Viego. Like I think she's just trying to play for top side, which I do think is a smart move given the volatility of the lane. But
yeah, we're seeing that poke damage coming out from Azir. Poor Chronic already popping both health pots just to stay in the lane. Just going to try to probably farm that wave and then have to burn the TP to come back. But Azir has tons of prio, and it looks like we're about to get a scuttle fight coming on here in the jungle.
Now, Bel'Veth cannot fight this. This is a big mistake if she goes for this.
Yeah, both top lane and mid lane
is also late.
Yeah, Set didn't have any prio in his lane, so Giga's going to be able to come down here and get a little bit of a 1v1. Yorick
It
goes for
looks
the
like
cage. Doesn't quite
Yorick is
land
caught
it.
out.
Yeah. Kenda's going to do a little bit of knock up in his ears here. Lissandra's position, but Lissandra doesn't have any health. Chronic can't fight this either. Good. Flash engage from the hook. Good W coming out. The Pillar's going to take the clean, true shot damage. And Giga's running for his life. He's popping the health pot to try to stay alive, and they're going to have to let him away. Good,
Big
clean
three-man
first blood.
knockup. Disengage, save at least one more life. Honestly, a lot less disastrous than it could have been. But who got that kill? It went to Azir, which is honestly kind of rough. At a glance, you might think it might be better for a champion like the Viego or Set to have, but in a matchup mid where Lissandra's already getting poked down so much, that extra AP, poke more, it guarantees more prio, a faster push. The game's played through mid lane, it's going to free up mid more for more roams, more activity on the map. Could be the start of a big effort to take over parts of the jungle and early objectives. So we'll see how it goes and how it plays out.
Yeah, and speaking of objectives, we just saw the first dragon spawn in 5 minutes into the game. Bel'Veth's already positioning herself towards that scuttle crab. Just going to go ahead and clear it out. Viego naturally wants to try to take something in the bot lane. He's posturing for a gank from the looks of it. His bot lane's a little far out, so gonna opt to go for it anyways. Just maybe trying to clear the wave out, get him off the plate.
Yeah, denying a plate.
Yeah.
I do believe the best play would have been for them to take Dragon here, because they just saw, even regardless of Viego's position, they just saw the Jin Poppy take a reset. When Bel'Veth was taking Crab, they had priority bot. That would have been a very free Drake. And obviously you always risk the coin flip of a Viego like flashing over a wall and trying to steal solo, but then, that's a flashless Viego and you just kill him. It's a minor mistake, but not like it costs him anything, as we maybe see a solo kill into mid.
Chronic going to be able to get out, but not with much health. He definitely has to take the recall there. And Azir can actually choose to probably leave this. Just if we look over, completely out. Azir's going to choose to shove the wave under. That cannon's about to die, so he's not going to really be able to tank anything up. He's going to lose most, if not all, of that wave.
Yep. Sandra with no TP is going to suffer quite a bit with that.
Yeah. Kenda doing a good job at coming mid lane just to clean up all that XP. Doesn't want it to go to waste. And a good chunk of gold as well. He's not losing a whole lot from it either. He's already going from wolves to raptors. So just a quick little drive-by, pick up a couple extra camp. He was also able to steal out the raptors from the enemy Viego too. Viego knowing from this ward that he's not going to be able to go down bot lane and take some camp. So he's just going to go ahead and start up grubs. He's got top prio. His mid laner just recalled. The enemy mid laner just recalled, so he knows it's pretty safe. Giga's just going to back off from this gank here with his vision. Not going to take any unnecessary risks. I respect it.
Yeah. And now we're seeing what I started to talk about with the top matchup, where despite the early volatility and how much Set can possibly pressure like levels 1 through 3, once he gets a maiden online, once he gets some items, despite being down, there's a pickaxe to a longsword, Set's still losing out on those trades because of just the spacing difference. You can't, when you're permanently slowed and you have a wall and maiden constantly sucking you, it's impossible to stick onto that York without a really big engage or a really big misstep. Yeah,
and you still have to be very careful as well, like you were saying. We don't know where Bel'Veth's at right now. She hasn't shown herself on the map in the last couple minutes. We can assume that she's pathing down bot lane, especially with the dragon still being up. She's going to want to take some prio on it eventually. But it's just something you have to respect. You don't have any vision up. Set has been using his vision in the lane bushes, and so hasn't really been able to go into the river and pick out anything. Hasn't really had the prio to do it either, so just going to play it safe, kick back, take a recall here.
Really rough here is that Lissandra with no TP, no flash, and that low HP. When you're effectively 1 or 2 hits from death, you're more or less like AFK mid until you take your reset, right? If a skirmish breaks out, you're not allowed to move because you'll just die. Or you can't provide nearly as much value as you usually can. With a dragon coming up, getting poked out that hard mid about 30 seconds ago was a bit of a blunder, because now, while this may have been contestable, it's the chances are just gone now, because you're just down a mid laner.
Yeah, and bot lane doesn't have any prio either, just slow pushing the wave from the looks of it.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. At this point, you kind of have to back out. Kenda already got poked out by the Jhin ultimate, so he was already under half health. It just wasn't necessary to kind of try to contest it. You're not super far down in this game. It's still very close in gold. You're technically down in objectives at this point, but nothing too crazy. You're not going to be spamming FF at this point. So I respect it, just backing off, letting their Zeri scale up with some farm and some XP. And she's doing a really good job at that, too. Almost up 4 waves. Four entire waves is quite a lot. And she's going to crash a pretty big one under the bot lane, so I'm sure Jhin will be able to pick up some of that. But that's still a quite sizable lead, even if Jhin is able to pick up this big wave under tower.
I believe it's also the Shiv in base for Zeri, which is going to be a huge help. This game is going about how you'd expect when you have a stronger early bot lane, stronger laning mid. You have the equal, somewhat strength junglers. It's the fact that the gold deficit's not even 1,000 gold yet is honestly a bit of a a miracle that they haven't made some hyper aggressive play bot lane. But
yeah, actually, most of the gold
that Poppy is going to be falling off eventually.
Yeah, most of the gold diff we're seeing, we see about 1,000 in mid lane, which is about what we expect. Azir's already ahead in some farm. He's able to take a plate. Got that earlier, first blood. So we expect to see a gold lead. What I'm a little more surprised about is Set's gold lead on Yorick right now. Giga almost down, what is that, 700 gold roughly? Maybe a little less, 600? Lysandra's going in for a lot of damage. She's going to have quite a lot. Bel'Veth's going to try to follow it up. Good double dash
nice
and an Azir. Emperor's Divide is going to be able to get this Kenda off of him, but he's not going to be enough. Kenda's got 2 dashes to match it up. Viego's going to try to take the 1v1. I don't know if he's going to be able to win this with Bel'Veth's true form and Lysandra back behind him. That's a risky fight for him to take.
He does have an R reset. I think he can take this if he plays it right, but he's going to opt to go out. Bel'Veth flies over the wall, and that is the play. Ooh, yeah, big engage from bot lane.
Yeah, another bot lane go engage. This one looks like more of an all-in. We're going to see a lot of summoners coming out from this one from the looks of it. Jin's already burned both the flash and the ghost, and he's going to make it out. Luna takes out the ignite as well, just to try to get an all-in going on. Good trade from Galen trying to put Yorick back behind.
Big dive angle on top lane here. I saw before, we didn't get the time to comment on it when fight broke out mid. But again, Yorick made that misstep, managed to sacrifice Maiden, gets one shot. So now Yorick without Maiden is half a champion. And this is where I was talking before, where it's like, Bel'Veth steals a Void Grub. You're talking about that in a few after this fight breaks out. But
yeah, Set ult's going to come in and just clean the Viego up. He's going to be able to get a reset off that as well.
I don't know how worth that was for a single grub, but at least they secured something off of it.
Yeah, and
especially the kill going to Viego. It's rough.
Yeah, definitely not what you want to see if you're Bel'Veth, but yeah, she was able to pick up the 1 grub. I hope the smite steal was worth it. Try to deny the 6 grubs maybe. A little preemptive back off there. But yeah, we saw a big fight coming out from the bot lane. Not just the first time around, but the second time around as well. Luna actually was able to get a re-engage in. And Jin's super low on health at this point. Doesn't want to opt for the recall. I think he could have gotten away with it considering the cannon's going to last a couple of shots, but maybe didn't want to give up the plates. Just let his lead snowball. So he's going to risk it a little bit. Go ahead and engage in from the Poppy. Try to get a little bit of damage coming out. Zeri's going to have to back off of this. She doesn't have the range to match Jhin in that one. But not a whole lot coming out of it. Just a quick little trade.
There's a universe where this could have been a dive on next wave, but I think now that we see Bel'Veth pathing away from bot and Viego pathing into it, it's far too risky. This is okay. Did you know something's up? Backs off. She has to be sitting on it. Probably like 1,500 gold or something. This has to be 1,700.
Yeah, 1,700. But Jin's sitting on 2,200 himself.
Yep.
That's
he's a double longsword right now.
I
guess that's why they've wanted to lane lock him so hard. Because there's no kill deficit, it's only farm. And when you have 2 completed components versus your opponent's 2 longswords, even if they're theoretically going to be stronger early, you are now stronger than them. And if you force them in lane, you force them to stay in there, you can kind of drag out that period of time where you're not in as much danger until you get to be able to fight them on even ground.
Yeah, and we're going to see some big purchases coming out from both the bot laners and the mid laners. Mid lane's finishing out both their items. We're seeing Malignance from the Lysandra and Nashor's Tooth coming from the Azir. Nashor's Tooth is what I expected Azir to build, but the Malignance on Lysandra is something that I think is a little interesting. I don't really picture Lysandra as a big ult damage resetter. Her ult is a very powerful tool, and I don't want to discount that, but I just don't think of it as that, Malignance first rush type of build. But
yeah, I know she is a champion that rushes Malignance a lot of the time. Just a lot of the time for that value of just the ult CDR reduction. Because, that's a lot of her role in this fight. Her team has plenty of damage as it is.
Yeah.
Her role is going to be merely the big engage, you press a big W, big ult. And having that more uptime on that is massive as this narrowly...
Good Good job from our Viego getting the resets out here. Unfortunately, going to die to the
Trade the team
Lysandra
back.
afterwards. But Yorick also TPing down for this fight, trying to put out some damage. This was one heck of a fight. Azir's
Oh my
not done
God.
yet. He's trying to put out some damage on Giga. Not going to quite get it. Lysandra's going to be able to pick up
so
the kill.
close.
Good job to Chronic. That's a double kill for him. And they're going to be able to press this wave under tower. Both these guys are super low. If they don't stick, if they stick around, Chronic might actually be able to dive them. And he's going to go for it. Doesn't have enough damage.
Little over ambitious.
Yeah, Guillotine wasn't able to follow up. Maybe didn't have the E up for the dash over the wall. And Master Flexo on the Poppy, he just guys that shield just completely denies all the damage that Chronic wanted to do. It was a little bit greedy. Definitely could have just taken the gold advantage and walked away. But I respect it. I think if Zeri, if he had waited a little bit longer for Zeri's cooldowns to be back up, she probably could have dashed over that bot lane wall with him, and they easily could have cleaned up a double kill. So maybe just a little ambitious, trying to move a little too quick. But
exactly.
we're going to see another fight coming out from the Viego.
Non-stop
Belveth gets the
action
steal
this
line
game.
on the dragon. She's going to be able to secure that. Viego's trying to make his way back out. Ignite it up. Belveth does a little bit of damage, but he's going to flash out. Kenda flashes in as well, trying to keep up, but he's not going to be able to get away. Good Jin snare, making sure that Kenda has to back off. He's going to try to steal these Raptors, but Jin is still not done, neither is Azir. Both just trying to poke her out. And there goes Belveth running away, the tail between her legs.
And shockingly few deaths this game. We've seen so many people escape with 1 HP, 2 HP, getting out with just one ability's worth of health. On repeat, it feels like every few minutes. This is only 15 minutes in the game, and we've had so many of these massive skirmishes, massive fights.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Usually when we see these big team fight skirmishes, we walk away with like 4 kills dead and 5 kills dead, and and this time we're walking away with like the 1 kill, and everybody's walking off with 100 health. It's honestly nice to see that a lot of our players aren't trying to overly coin flip these fights. They're trying to go in, they're getting their guaranteed kill, and they're walking away.
Yeah, and I will point out something that happened during that big fight bot lane was that what looked to be a bit of a unfortunate timing on Set's TP. It was coming up in about 10 seconds when Yorick had TP'd into bot, so Set couldn't match the team fight. Ended up being ended up working out, given the fact that the fight still went in the favor of a blue team, even without the Set. So he's able to trade that top tier turret. You gotta widen that gold deficit. A bit of I mean, Yorick didn't even trade a kill out of it. It's going to be a bit rough laning into that Sets now because, like you saw before, again, at this point, Set's just walking up the maid and killing it. I do think that the side lane's going to go in favor of Set until probably 3 items, maybe. So it's going to be a bit tricky to play out these bounces. But
Yeah, and they're going to be able to clean up a Rift Herald. Nice job to Viego. He's just going to try to make it out. Kenda's trying to fish for something. Chronic going over the wall as well. They're not going to be able to catch him out, but Gablin's re-engaging. Gets caught out by the Yorick. Good W in from the Set, trying to put out some damage, but I don't think he's going to be enough, even with the ult. I stand corrected. He's got enough to take down Chronic.
Chronic does flash, a bit of a miss flash, still in the AoE of the Set ult. As gets 1 punch to the forehead, and he's taken out. So
Yeah, definitely a little bit of an overstay from Chronic. I think he could have just walked away and let his 2 teammates pick out the kill, but maybe he just really wanted to try to funnel some gold in his pocket. I'm sure it's pretty annoying to constantly be losing trades to the Azir, so yeah, just sticking around a little too long. Good Poppy stun and the ult coming in. Guillotine is taking up tower shots, and she's going to go down to the Jin 4th shot. He pops the ghost to try to come forward. There he goes. Yeah, Luna's going to be running away. I don't think he's going to have the damage to be able to take her out. Gets the snare. Opts for the curtain call, but she's going to be able to dash away. Belveth's coming down, but she's not going to want that fight, especially with the Poppy still up and the W still rocking. Viego's posturing in the back. He might be able to rotate over if they choose to take this fight. Kenda's going to run into the lane. He's going for it. Poppy W comes out. She's going to play it patient. Gets the double knockup. Rakan goes back in with the knockup as well. Then Belveth picks up another kill. Nice job. Gets the ultimate form. But here comes Set TPing down from the lane. And there goes Belveth's life. Luna's going to have to run away from this one, and that's going to be another 1 for 2.
Yeah. And now, even across the map again, like, it's such a back and forth in this game, but I feel like, big ult coming in from the Azir. I don't know if much is going to be gotten out of this, but
yeah, you're doing a good job at just running him down with this Conqueror healing.
He's got
maybe he gets a little ambitious.
As he's Lysandra cleans up the kill, and it is a 1 for 1. But I do feel bad for the Belveth in this game because every time it looks like she's finding an angle, they either get out on 1 HP or she trades 1 kill and then dies immediately after in a trade. It's very tricky to play it, especially if from this stage. Enemy jungler is 3 kills. The gold is spread out to a lot of members in the team. Blue team doesn't have any one member who's really, really far behind here. So it's kind of hard to try and snowball one lane in particular to offset the gold difference. So it's not too deep so far, just 1.5k gold or so. It's still anyone's game.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those times where, you know, the gold difference isn't that high, but it just feels like you're being pressured from everywhere. If I'm tilted Tater Tots, I'm feeling like we're getting knocked in on every angle. I feel like we're getting out-rotated on most of these fights. And we had the one really good bot lane fight that kind of went in our favor, and outside of that, I feel like we're just getting knocked down. Rift Herald got dropped in the mid lane, so the mid tower being gone is huge. That's going to open up a lot more opportunities to get some deep vision in on the red side of the jungle. And Viego, despite a lot of his reckless fights from a mild perspective, he's been able to pick up a lot of kills, and he hasn't really died for it. Like we were talking about earlier about kind of just getting away scot-free with like 100 health. This man has managed to pick up 3 kills and has only died once despite being in the arms fray of damage every single fight. Like just really good job at min-maxing his results and knowing exactly where he needs to be and why.
Yep, exactly. Now we're seeing top with no maiden again. There is a chance Set can just take this tower, but nah, he's not gonna opt to conserve the HP, maybe walk down for the Drake. Again, it's a matter of Set having no TP here, and Yorick does, so Set's forced to walk down a little bit early. Looks like he is making the correct call to come go for a flank on this Drake. I believe he's on vision here, so they see the Set crossing over, so he can't go for anything too ambitious.
Yeah.
But
and Tater Tots are pinging as well. They're saying, hey, Set's not here right now. Giga's saying, hey, I can TP down, but I'd rather not, so you guys just kind of chill back and relax, and we don't want you guys to be overextending for any unnecessary fights. Both teams are up one dragon right now, so we're not really at a huge risk of having to fight. We see the Yorick TPing down. He's going to go ahead and close it off. Jin in the back line is going to get ran down by this Yorick, and in the front line, Guillotine is pumping out some damage. Going out. Good job. Ooh, Azir with a great Emperor's Divide, pushing Guillotine back out, but it's not going to be enough. The resets from Belveth getting her ultimate form. Viego's trying to run away after getting the dragon. It's not going to be enough. Oh, he does actually get out.
Narrowly escapes. Now, what a nightmare of a team fight. That was unfortunate just from all angles. It looked like 3 different people found 3 different engages, and it didn't look like anybody was really on the same page. Set found a cool flank, but the damage wasn't there to follow up on it. What is interesting is that Giga left Maiden top lane before TPing, which ended up working out in their favor, as I think Maiden might just kill the turret. I mean, they invested so much across the map. That's a risky play, TPing without your Maiden when it makes you such a stronger champ. Leaving it top ends up paying out. It's a bit of a risky gamble, but they turn the fight. DG positioned very, very well in that fight. Super tricky, especially when fights get that chaotic, to position on like a mid-range champion, especially into the Poppy, into the set, where one ability means your death. So she did a great job staying alive there. But that was a huge fallout from Lissandra and Belveth.
Yeah, and what we just saw here was one of the scariest things you can see in a League of Legends game, a Belveth securing Baron. They're going to pass straight up into the top side. Looks like just going to clear out the top wave here, but you have a Yorick who's split pushing on one side, you have a Belveth split pushing in another. That is a terrifying outcome. You don't have the wave clear to deal with it if you're on AGT's team. They have the Jin, who does a lot of single target damage and lots of poke damage. Azir has some decent wave clear, but nothing that I would talk about as really, really good. Set definitely doesn't have it, and so you just have this opportunity where like Baron minions are going to be pressing in on your tower, and you honestly might be better off just going for a forced fight than it is to try to clear the minions. Yeah, like right here, they're just going to run the tower down, not even going to try. Yeah,
usually when you have the Baron, although it doesn't help a ton, you're looking for the big wave clears. You're looking for something like a Hui or like an A-Soul to just slow down the wave as Set comes in through top lane. The flash is up. This might be looking like a solo kill here.
Yeah, Gablin going to be able to take a clean kill, and that's going to be big. Yorick loses his Baron buff as well. Chronic taking up some damage in the backline. The tower is going to take him down. Azir passive coming in handy there. That's going to be 1 for 1. Azir goes down, and so does Chronic.
I do think this is in the favor of Red Team, though, because, again, 1 person down. They still have 3 people bot. They get a tier 2 here if they pressure it right. I don't think Viego Poppy can stand up to this.
Yeah, they're definitely going to lose their bot tower here, but they're going to trade out 2 towers in the other lines. Jin is over there taking mid tower, and Set's about to be pressing in on top. Gig is not going to be able to respawn in time to stop him. Chronic does have TP. Might be able to TP down to this bot fight if it's still going. Guillotine with the barrier trying to stay back alive. Kenda also going to be out. Good job at Guillotine posturing herself for a double kill, and they're going to be able to press that into the next tower as well.
Now, I do think this is a large overstay. Azir's respawning in 1 second. They're on recalls. This is a big risk for very little reward.
Ooh.
As
Curtain Call
Yeah.
takes one. Curtain Call takes two. That's a good
Fantastic
double
goal
kill
from
for
Jhin.
Boomer for days.
And just like that, the big threat of the Baron, although they got a lot of turrets off of it. The gold deficit is actually identical to what it does or what it was immediately after they took Baron. So the gold they just got from the turrets was just offset. You know, they traded top tier 2 for bot tier 2. They traded mid tier 2 for, I believe it was mid tier 1. The not any lead gain through the Baron. Obviously, the turrets and the map pressure is going to be nice, but I do think that's more favorable from the side of red team. But
And Set going to go for the one for two. Didn't quite get it. Luna's able to space it out with her W. And Chronic able to hold him down with the ultimate. Good juke, by the way. I don't know if you noticed, but I saw Gablen's ankles kind of get broken there with the Lysandra. He wasn't quite sure which direction to run. She just kind of casually strolls off to the tower.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got a 1-for-1 trade with your ultimates. Luna's forced to recall. She was probably going to recall anyways. Needed to pick up some more vision. She's the last person on her team with Baron too, so they still potentially could group up with her. Although I imagine at this point it's probably close to done.
Yeah, about to expire. I have to be right back in about 2 minutes.
Sounds good. While you're gone, we're going to see Azir with another Emperor's Divide cleaning up Kenda Master. Good job from the MIP 2508, making sure he can clean out that damage. Luna really, really sad about that. Rakan going to throw out a little crying bee. We love to see the bee, but we hate to see it in such a situation. Azir making sure everyone's aware that Poppy's clearing out his vision. And looks like Viego's going to posture forward. Looks like they want the dragon. Yeah. So they're going to take priority of it. Azir's already pushing out the bot lane, so the MIP's making sure the wave's going to get caught. And Chronic's going to have to match that if he wants to. Dr. Guillotine's going to start making her way down along with Luna, so they might want to try to contest this. They have a 3v3. Giga and Gablin both have their TPs up, so we could see the Set and the York joining in if they choose to. Yep, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Gablin's going ahead and TPing in, trying to get behind, and so is Giga trying to TP in as well. Chronic trying to stop the Set from taking down the tower. He's going to ult out. W's going to come out, but it's not going to be quite enough. He's going to end up going down, but not before taking out Giga's Yorick at the same time. Good job making sure that he's able to distract for his team. Gablin putting out an insane amount of pressure on this Set. For somebody who doesn't have quite that many kills, I expect him to be a little bit more safe and secure, but only 3 deaths, and he's made sure that each one of those deaths is traded for something. We now have 2 Infernal Souls and a Hextech Soul coming out for the Alphas to G-Town, and that's going to be really impressive that they might be able to put themselves on soul point for this next dragon in around 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And Infernal Soul in particular is especially lethal on champs with a lot of poke, a lot of range, where you manage to hit 1 stray bullet, and the Infernal Soul basically doubles the damage you hit off that poke. And I'm seeing an Azir, I'm seeing a Jhin, like you have a lot of threats with that. It also is worth noting that before going into this fight, Zeri was up a full item on Jhin. And now it looks like that gold deficit's kind of evened out here. Not like it's still down 50 farm, but at least the itemization is closing in a bit.
Yeah, and if we look at the gold difference specifically from each player, DG is still up about 1,000 gold. So still doing a good job at maintaining a lead, but we've seen that the mid lane is about 800 gold. Jungle's about 1,000, actually in favor of Kenda's Bel'Veth, so that's really clean, picking up a lot of kills. Top lane is where I expected to see a lot of the gold difference, and I would be right. Yeah. You see the Gablin Set is up almost 2K. 2K. That is nothing to sneeze at. But surprisingly enough, with all that, everything kind of balances out because you have Bel'Veth who's ahead of the Viego, you have Set who's ahead of the Yorick, and teams as a whole, they're almost dead even. Both towers are dead even as well. Objectives, they're reasonably secure. The Dragons being up is pretty relevant for the Alphas to G-Town, but we've seen a lot of the Rift objectives being traded out from topside, like we saw the Bel'Veth taking the Baron earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to position for it again. But looks like they're all going to try to collapse in on Set while he's alone.
This is a big misstep from the Set. Although there is a chance he can turn this. His team is right behind him. If he can stall out long enough with the W, which it looks like he might be able to.
Ooh, good flash out, but it's not going to be quite enough. Kenda's going to be able to take it in and go into the ultimate form. Not going to have enough health to make use of it, though. Giga's getting run down on the front line. He's already ignited. And there goes Zeri picking up another kill. Kicks up a double kill. As we see a triple, maybe even a quadra. She's got ignited right now. She's going to have to back out. Azir Nice job from the MIP, putting out some
Oh, they
damage.
go
And another Ember's
they go
Divide for a
too
triple
deep.
kill. The MIP 2508 putting himself on the board. 10 and 5 and 2 on this Azir. Scary, scary stuff. Chronic nowhere
This
to
is
be
such
found
a
for this
good
fight.
state.
He's going to walk away scot-free.
It is rough. I feel it was such a neutral fight. Zeri saw the 2 people on 1 HP, saw the pressure of getting those 2 kills, and just got a little overambitious and got punished for it, which is Azir is now going to be a massive problem. Still anyone's game, although significantly harder with a death cap in the works maybe, or is that a shadow flame from the Azir? So
Yeah, something I am interested in from our Azir is our second item, Banshees. Not sure what the necessity is for. I'm guessing it's to try to avoid Chronic just ulting him. But
it's a discouraging.
surely Chronic has the ability to pop a Banshee's Veil before hitting R. He's got tons of spells in his kit that are pretty wide range and have a good distance as well. So
At the very least, I think it might be to avoid like a flash W or something, or like a just long range R, because the only other way to really easily get it out, it's guaranteed, would be melee range W and then R. Obviously, you could use the Q, you could use the E, but it's those are significantly harder to find yourself in a situation where that's guaranteed.
true.
He is building quite tanky. Well, not quite tanky, but Leandri's gives him some bonus health. The magic resist stacked on top of it. It's still, he has the plated steel caps as well. This Azir is very deceptively squishy, and I feel like that might come into play where I'm expecting another fight where if it's close, he'll probably live on 2 HP yet again, given the health pool, the resistances. But next dragon is spawning in, how long is that? Do we have a timer on that?
I don't remember the command.
Keep mine for it somewhere, but as they're trying to spice out the set, they bait out a TP and a Jhin ult.
Yeah, Set ult's going to come down from the back line, and there goes Luna. Rakan is going to take it down. Guillotine's going to try to back off with 10 health on the back line, just trying to run away. Kenna's got his ultimate going, but it's not going to be quite enough. Another triple kill for the MIP 2508. 13, 5, and 2, now with a 700 gold bounty on his head. This Azir is absolutely terrifying.
Is taking over the game. Now, if I'm York here, I might look for a TP into top lane, but the Poppy's going to be matching this, so it's a bit tricky to do anything. At least can trade a tier 1 or tier 2 mid. That top tier 2 might go down, or tier 3 goes down on its own anyway. Not an inhib, but it's still enough pressure. You still can threaten the inhib. They're trying to trade what they can, but now it's an Infernal Soul and a 13 kill Azir. Finishing up the Shadow Flame. It still has another slot for another item. I mean, this is significantly harder to play into at this point.
Yeah, and we see a second item, Rabadon's coming out from Chronic. He's had that for a little while. I don't know if it's the best move from him. He doesn't have the gold funnel in him to really make use of an item like that. He doesn't have the items in his slot to make use of the AP passive either. I think I would have preferred something maybe as like a Rabadon's third. I think the Shadow Flame is perfectly fine here. So maybe if we had inverted the 2, or even something like a Zhonya's from him, maybe throw himself into the front line, snare, ult, and then have to hit Zhonya's to kind of stall out a little bit, let your Bel'Veth and your Zeri kind of start cleaning up. Once you pop out of your Zhonya's again, you have another W that's up, and more CC.
Yeah.
Maybe different options. At this point, I guess it's moot, but definitely maybe a bit of an itemization error. We'll have to see where his head's at if we get a chance to talk to him afterwards. But.
Yeah. And now we're really starting to see where the set versus York kind of falters in the York side, where regardless of how the lane went, you now have York versus set impact in a team fight. York might be able to throw a cage down, but it's never going to match the sheer impact and simplicity of just set ulting into 4 people. Stride breaker, everyone's slowed, you W to one-shot somebody. This York's really going to have to struggle to find a side lane angle, as it looks like he's caught out here right before Baron.
Yeah, that's not going to be very good. It doesn't look like TTT is going to be able to pick up this Baron. They're going to have to back off. Chronic's already in the bot lane matching Gablin. He should have enough wave clear that Set can't really take the tower. And yep, that's exactly what we're going to see. The Alphas to G-Town's going to go ahead and start it up. With the Azir damage and the Jhin damage, they're going to have more than enough to take it out. We're going to see a contest. Kenda's coming out from the backline, trying to get back in on the Azir, but the Azir, as he gets the Emperor's Divide, lots of damage coming out, and the Zeri ends up getting the kill and the steal from the Baron. Kenda's going to try to make it out, but he's not going to be able to get away. Galen with a good TP in. Chronic tries to match, but he's not going to be able to get away with it. If he runs away with his life, they at least get 1 Baron, and they get to deny it.
Yeah, and that's a massive steal, but again, it's fortunate that the waves aren't in a state where they could end. If anything was pushed up even a little further, it was the end of the game. Bots push, but again, it's crossed the map for Baron, and they have no TPs. This will be the bot inhib going down. I'm not too sure how much more they can get. There's a chance they might be able to take inhib turrets, but they might just leave it at inhib. And it's 1,500 gold. Even if Baron goes on one person, that's still a kill's worth of gold to each person on your team. Kind of neutralizes it, but again, just red team here is, I think, entirely outscaled. Even if they're playing on even ground, it's so hard for that Yorick to find an angle to be useful on a team fight. It's, again, the Poppy blocks, the Bel'Veth dashes, the Zeri dash, the Rakan dash. I think the Poppy's a massive pick here just for the utility alone. Whereas from early game, they went from looking for big engages and big stuns to now, again, they have that Knight's Vow they have put on Azir. They have the W to dissuade all the engage. It's supremely difficult to find any kind of angle onto Azir and Jhin here.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing a lot of the final items coming out from our big carries. MIP over here trying to finish out what looks to be a Rabadon's maybe. And we see Dr. Guillotine working on what I actually don't know what that item builds into. Is that the...
That is going to be Death Dance or GA. Probably GA. I don't know why it's a Death Dance. My top laner brain's talking.
Yeah, definitely going to be a GA, which I think is going to be very useful for the Zeri pick. She has a lot of damage, but she ends up having to kind of dance around these fights because she gets chunked out to about 100, 200 health, has to back out and then kind of play on the outside. With that GA, gets to be a little bit more, proactive in these fights. Obviously, not wanting to just in ourselves and straight into the front line, but gets to be a little bit more risky. And with the idea that if you have a top laner or a mid laner who's TPing into the fight, like we've seen their teammates like to do, it kind of stalls a little bit that maybe the Yorick or the Lissandra gets to come in and kind of bail you out when you're respawning.
Yeah, there is an inherent risk though, and I feel like we can only wait to see how it plays out. But in this kind of draft, it's by the time you're dead in the GA, in the time you're alive, your entire team's probably just going to be dead. They have so much engage. If you're dead, it's probably to the set. You have a set standing on top of you, camping your respawn. You have probably a Poppy waiting with a W. It's. I hope it can be a good purchase, but it might end up being not getting nearly as much value as it possibly could into maybe different drafts that aren't as as aggressive and in your face. But I do think it's at the very least is giving her armor into 480 targets. So.
Yeah. And both teams just opting to kind of just farm it out right now. I think the next big fight we're going to see is probably for this Elder, which should be up here in the next minute or two. So both teams, I'm guessing, are just going to try to finish out these items. We're seeing a Void Staff being built from Chronic. I don't think he's going to be able to finish it out quite yet. But yeah, lots of plated steel caps in this game as well. Just entertaining to kind of see just how many auto attack reliant champions we have. You know, with Azir, with Jhin, Yorick, Bel'Veth, Zeri. It's just a fun little observation that I kind of noticed as I'm scrolling across the item selections here.
Now, if we pan over to the gold in the bank, I'm interested to see how much. Okay, so Azir's not sitting on a death cap; he's not close. He needs that 2350 breakpoint, about 13 more hundred gold to hit his death cap, and then become a complete menace as opposed to the partial menace he already is. Sets pressuring this top. Both top laners are going to have TP for this, as Giga's taking a lot of damage. Stuck in the cage, taking tower shots. This is a little bit rough for the set, as he might be forced to reset before TPing down. But
yeah, Giga's going to opt for a recall. I think it's faster for him to just walk to the fountain, but you know, maybe he just wants to stand near the tower in case something crazy happens. You know, he has to stop something. But yeah, just going to pass some damage. Gablen's going to try to take down the tower. Chooses to ult, engage under the tower.
This might be a mistake. This is he flashes into the cage. Giga goes down. This is a complete nightmare for red team, as if they just get to fight this dragon, they end the game, and if they go to base, they lose Elder. So somebody has to get on top of that set. They're probably going to look here to stop all the recalls. There's TP coming in from Chronic, so they're going to opt to just do the Elder instead of stopping the TP.
Yeah, and Chronic's just going to have to wave clear out. It doesn't really have the damage to 1v1 the set. And yep, there he goes. They're choosing to take the fight, and the Elder's going to come out. DG's going to pump out some damage in the back line. Luna's going in for a bunch of charms. Ember's Divide swoops up Guillotine, but she's going to dash right over the wall. Not going to be enough. And Gablin is just going to be able to clean up that Nexus. Tries to farm it out. And yeah, TP comes out from the Azir to help finish it off.
Grubby. It is a GG. What a game.
Alphas to G-Town, the victors of this run. Those of you guys in chat, go ahead and let us know who you want us to interview. Me personally, I'm thinking, honestly, the MIP is going to be our boy. Azir doing a really phenomenal job at playing it clean in the early game and then absolutely rotating it into some amazing mid to late game team fights. Lots of good ultimates with the Emperor's Divide that we saw out. So that's my personal vote. Michael, what about you? Who do you think of these players is worth looking at?
Uh, I'm on the same wavelength, especially from the winning team. Viego played the early pretty well, but again, it, the Viego, the Jhin, the Poppy, like not so much Poppy from the useful W, but the late game was very much dictated by Azir set, just by value of kit. It's hard to get into these fights again, like we were saying at the start of the game, like the Lissandra into Viego. You can't really walk in and hit as much as you want to. So the Azir really had to shine here, and he really didn't let that down, didn't fail with that. It's between the Azir and Set for me, but yeah, I'm more on your side here. Like the sheer amount of damage coming through from that Azir, that triple kill early, the everything. I think there's no better player to interview.
Yeah. And we're looking at chat right now. I'm seeing a couple of votes for Gablin in the top lane for his set gameplay. And honestly, I think Gablin did an amazing job on the set. We saw him pressuring side lanes. We saw him TPing proactively for a lot of these good team fights. We saw lots of 1v2 and 1v3 outcomes where he ended up picking up a kill in the process. So just got an insane amount of pressure coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's and especially punishing those little missteps. Set is a champion that he's simple by design, but because he's simple, you have to really find those little missteps. Like, okay, they kited forward a little bit instead of backwards here. Now you just beat him up and half health them or just kill someone. Especially at the end there were some spacing mistakes, from Lissandra, who walked up an inch too far and got just completely punished for it. I think the mistake out of Yorick for like backing off a tower, walking back into melee range. It's all a spacing game eventually with that champion, and it's a matter of just taking advantage. So I think either of those players are a fantastic option.
Yeah, and Gablin is down, so let's go ahead and kidnap him, and we'll see if we can get a couple questions going. Hello.
Hello.
What's going on, man? Nice job.
Hey,
obviously, congratulations to you and your team. You guys did amazing.
Thank you.
What was going on in y'all's head during that last fight? So obviously you were able to pull out the solo kill on the Yorick, the tower dive at the end there. But was your team were y'all chilling? Did you guys feel like that Elder stall was worth it? Or were you guys getting a little nervous, a little sweaty?
To be honest, we were really yelling out loud. We're calling everyone, we're calling Belvet. They all were calling Belvet, and I was just like, oh, I'm just ending the game. I was just like, oh my god, it's just so free. They cannot back, so I can just end. And then when I killed when I killed the Yorick, I was like, oh, it's just over because they cannot back off, or we get Elder and then we win out of that. So yeah, pretty much at that last fight, I was like, it's just over.
Yeah,
that was a fantastic choice as well, because obviously staying top, you always had the option to TP down, but you have the more pressure. You have a bigger threat to their base. Nobody can really 1v1 your side lane. They have to send multiple. It's just the lose-lose situation between do we lose Elder and then lose the game, or do we lose the game, period?
Yeah, and also I had the potential to also, I think, TP bot because the wave was also pushed in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, halfway, but I could have back their team and just kill them all and then get Elder and then we end as team. But I think the backdoor was better.
Yeah. Now, early on in that game, you guys actually were on a bit of a gold deficit. Was there any point in that game where you were really concerned about state of the game, or you had little confidence, or were you guys kind of locked in from the start? At what point, if any, were you worried about it?
I think the part that I was the most scared of is when we lost Baron. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, maybe they're gonna turn the game around, and our mid laner did really well, and I was really proud of him because he carried a lot of the fights, and I was able to split push a lot because of that. So that was great.
Yeah, we noticed with the Baron fight as well. We were kind of saying the same thing, like, oh man, this top skirmish and the kind of kills back and forth is nice, but Belveth on Baron is absolutely terrifying. And then we noticed that Tilted Tater Tots, they took a victory from it. They took a lead. They were able to press down some towers, and then they overstayed for that inhib, which gave the MIP, your Azir, a free double kill, I believe. And he was already kind of snowballing from there, but that kind of cemented his early lead to a definitive lead, and I think that's when he started picking up these double kills and these triple kills in all the fights.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's especially that bot. I think that was their big fumble because staying for that inhib, it's like you're not just staying for the inhib and basing. It screws with your tempo so much because you have to take the inhib and then you have to effectively back all the way up to where your tier ones were because you're gonna get chased down the lane. It takes a whole 30 seconds to get a base off from that point, so it really screws with tempo. But I
Yeah, I think
understand it from the desperation.
yeah, I think they should have just tried to go for the bot camp after taking the tower, not for the inhib, and then reset. And then they
Yeah.
might have been able to get another play on the map after resetting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on your matchup going into it? I don't remember correctly, but I believe you first picked Set and they countered. I don't know who countered who, but
No, I counterpicked him. He
Okay.
picked Yorick as a third,
Mhm.
as the third champ, and then I picked Zeta after that. Because
Mhm.
I was thinking of picking Fiora because it did not bandit, and it's my one trick right now.
Okay.
So I thought of that, but I was too scared of a counter pick, and I saw a lot of his Champo were kind of counter pick as Fiora, so I was scared.
Okay. I see it. I see it.
And
And is that a matchup so you go first. Second.
Oh no, you continue on. I was gonna ask a whole new question.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, how much, like, were you comfortable in that matchup? Did you know how it was going to go, or you just figured Set was a safe pick that would be more useful in a team fight?
To be honest, I just thought the team fighting and the split pushing potential, as well as the set in the meta right now, he's really good into melee matchup. So I thought that it would have been a great pick. I also played him 1 game or 2 game this morning, so I was fresh on him.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, speaking of counter picks, we saw the Poppy come out from the draft. What were y'all's thoughts during draft when it came with the Poppy specifically? Because we were talking about like, oh, well, we're thinking it's gonna be top lane. It could be support. They could flex it between the two. Like, what were y'all thinking of, and what were y'all kind of talking about during the actual drafting portion when it came to that Poppy?
For the Poppy pick, it's really interesting because my teammate, my sport, Master Flexo, whenever his Rakan gets picked, because he wanted to play Rakan in the game, but it got picked, then he always, when his Rakan gets picked, he just goes Poppy against it because it's just a massive counter pick. So he just decides to always go Poppy against Rakan.
It was smart. I mean, Poppy ended up being a fantastic pick. Even though you picked it early, they still locked in like Zeri, Belveth, Rakan. It shuts down more than half the enemy team, and especially in a draft where they're looking to go really hard on the engage. Poppy's a fantastic disengage tool for that. You have the Azir at a range with the Knight's Vow. You have so many layers of very demoralizing shields to get through in order to even touch the carries, let alone kill them. I think you guys just drafted well, played it well, and it just worked out. So we'll play to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well, draft-wise, I think we played really well. I think we could have done a little bit better with the jungler, but I think it was fine. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it must have been pretty good. You guys ended up with a victory screen at the end. So at the end of the day, that's what counts and that's what matters.
Yeah, totally.
Well, nice job, man. Once again, congratulations to you and your team. Have I been pronouncing your team name right? Is it Le Alphas de G-Town?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. I just want to make
Pretty
sure.
good.
I was like, I'm not.
Yeah. At the end, I was also hearing my name, and I was hearing Gablin. I was like, what?
Oh, is that not how you pronounce it?
It's Gab.
Oh, Gablin.
Gablin.
Blonde. I see.
Yeah, there you go, Michael. You got it.
Oh. Sorry, I'm too American. I can't.
Yeah, we two white guys casting, my bad.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's good. That's good to know for the future, though, because you guys' team, I believe, that takes you to 3-2 as far as the overall standings.
I think it does.
Which puts you guys into the upper bracket for sure. So there's a good shot we see you guys in the playoffs here in a few weeks. So that'll be exciting. Good to know that I'll be able to pronounce your name correctly as we move forward into the playoffs. But yeah, is there anything else you want to say to your team or to the viewers before we sign off and move on to the next game?
Yeah, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching the stream today. It's been a pleasure fighting today in the Rift. Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, GG's, man. Good job.
GG's. Well, those of you guys who are watching, we're going to take another short little break, and then we'll be going into our final match of the night. Our two undefeated teams going head-to-head. So make sure you stay tuned for that, and we will see you guys in just a few minutes.